Hello and welcome, or welcome back if you're a returning viewer to the channel. WB here, and in this video what I want to do is show you how you can install and configure Masscan for fast port scanning. As always, I ask if you like what you see on the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, click that notification bell. Comments are always welcome. In fact, any interaction you do with the channel supports us tremendously. If you'd like to continue the discussion after the video ends, check out the description below for a link to our community Discord server. All right, everybody, let's go ahead. Let's dive into a demonstration on Masscan. All right, everybody, here we are on my desktop, and we have a couple of bash terminals open, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to get Masscan installed. There are going to be a few utilities that we need in order to do this. Keep in mind, the reason I'm doing this in Ubuntu is I'm assuming that Kali isn't your daily driver. However, I know when it comes to studying for certifications, you might not have the time to do all of some of the stuff that we're going to do here to get Masscan installed inside of Ubuntu. So, that said, if you happen to have Kali Linux already, this is going to be a very easy setup for you, and you can skip forward in the demonstration. So you can just open a terminal here. Let me go ahead and make this screen a little bit bigger so we can see it. And if we just type Masscan, if I actually type Masscan, you can see that it's already installed. And you can start to work with it. So if you already have Kali, go ahead, skip forward in the tutorial. Another thing too is if you open the default Firefox browser here, you will see you've got a variety of different bookmarks. You can choose Kali Tools right here. And then from Kali Tools, you can just type in Masscan here. So if you're studying for these certifications, click Masscan here. And now you have access to Masscan, and you are ready to go. So I wanted you to be aware of that because, again, I know that time is money here, but for those of you that want to install it on Ubuntu, maybe, again, Kali really shouldn't be your daily driver, so let's show you how you can get this installed. Now, there are a couple of resources that we're going to need in order to get this installed, so I want you to be aware of that. We're going to need Git. We're going to need something called Make to automate the building of Masscan, and then we're going to need the GNU compiler. So we're going to need to download GCC. So in order to do this, we're going to go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're going to run apt, and the first thing that we need to do is run apt update. So we'll go ahead and do that. Let's run our sudo apt, and we'll run an update here. And I got a couple of terminals open too, because there's a couple of different things that we're going to do in order to get this working. All right, now we've got apt is updated. So now let's go ahead. Let's get some of those utilities installed. So we're going to do a sudo apt install. And we need Git, because we're going to clone a repository. We're actually going to clone Robert David Graham's Masscan repository up on GitHub. So we need Git, or Git, excuse me. We need Make, because we're going to automate, it allows us to essentially to automate the build of the software. And then we need a compiler, so we need GCC with this. So we're going to go ahead and we will install these. And it could take a second here to install this. And then once it's installed, we'll go ahead and we'll clone that repository. Like I said, check out the description for the links to the GitHub repo. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to run git, we're going to run clone, and then it's going to be https://github.com/ and then it's Robert David Graham, and make sure I spell that right, Graham, yes, and then it's /Masscan. We'll find out if I spelled the repo right here in a second, and we'll go ahead and run this, and hopefully it will clone it, and we are good. Let's find out. We'll run our list. And we can see that. Now, I will tell you, these are from earlier demonstrations. So what you should see, if you haven't installed this before, we can just go ahead and remove Masscan.results. We'll remove that. And then we'll remove paused.conf. Oh, okay. So sudo, actually, we'll just leave that there for now. my computer's balking at me. All right, so what we should see is Masscan. All right, now what we're going to do here is we're going to use make. So let's change directories. Let's cd into Masscan, and we're going to run a sudo make. All right. And it's going to go ahead and it's going to compile that software, build that software, automate all of that process. I am not a developer in any way, but you'll see that developers use make commonly to help automate software builds. All right, so now once that's done, the next thing that we're going to do is we want to make sure that we install make and make that binary ready. So we're going to do a sudo make install, and we should see that when we do that, it's going to install it, and now we have it in bin/Masscan, and we also have it in user/bin/Masscan as well. Let me go ahead and get back to home, and eventually I will type this right. I was not holding my mouth right. I'm trying to type, talk, look, read all at the same time. Multitasking is horrible for me. All right, so now once that's done, we have Masscan installed, just like you've seen inside of Kali, and we are ready to run it. Now, there's a couple of different ways that we can do this. All right, I want you to keep in mind that one of the basic ways that you can do this, you can run this against a network or a set of hosts. Keep in mind that this is very, very fast. So you can, you could scour or I'm sorry, do a port scan against like almost 5,000 hosts and beyond, very, very fast, considering that type of volume. But you can also do it against single hosts as well too. So one of the basic ways that you can run Masscan, we'll go ahead and run a sudo here. We'll run Masscan, and let's say that we're just checking, let's just run for a single port. Let's see, for instance, if we have any Windows devices on our networks, right? So we'll do a port 445 here for SMB, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to define a network. We'll do 192.168.0.0/24, and we'll go ahead and we'll run this. All right. Now, what you'll see here is that it does say that it's running. All right. Oh, it does. Now, I'm only doing a single port against 256, really 254 hosts, if you think about it, because the first one's the network address, and then the last one's the broadcast address. But we did find something, right? I know that I found 2 machines that are running SMB on my network, right? So that lets me know that they're, well, if they're not running Samba, they are Windows, right? Windows devices. So that was across these 256 nodes, all right, on your networks. Now that was a very, very simplistic one. I'm going to go ahead, now that we've discovered a couple of nodes, I'm actually going to copy these, all right? And I'm going to save these IP addresses because since we've already kind of discovered some hosts there, and I'm thinking that they're going to be Windows, right? Because they're running port 445, we're going to come back to them. But I do have some additional things that I want to show you too as we start to run Masscan here likewise. So we have sudo, let's run this again. So we ran that, and what I did is just a very, very basic scan, and hey, let's look for Windows machines. Right, but we can try to find other ports and hence the services behind those ports, right? Maybe FTP, we do port 21. Oh, and the other thing is I'm so used to putting a space, do not put spaces in between the commas here, or it's going to see it as a delimiter and it'll error out. So maybe we do FTP, right? What else? Come on, help me out there, everybody. Think about some of the ports that you would want to maybe scan, right? Maybe we want to see is SSH there, is FTP, or excuse me, Telnet there. Is that available? Is that open, right? Is SMTP maybe available and open, right? Do we have unencrypted web traffic, right? Port 80. So as you see, we're just kind of adding on some additional ports here, and then we can add our subnet again, 192.168.0.0/24, right? And we now run this. Now notice what it's doing. It's running, it's got 5 ports. Now we found an additional host. So now I've got I've got a machine here, right, on my network that's running, it looks like it is running SSH, but I also have a machine on my network that is running port 80 and port 21, right? So we have unencrypted web traffic. HTTP traffic doesn't necessarily mean it's a web browser or a web server per se. It is using HTTP traffic, and there are you know, a variety of different things, you know, technologies that will use HTTP. It looks like we got port 21 open. Now, I do want you to notice this here too. All right, Masscan is very, very fast, all right? And sometimes you might need to tell it to slow down a little bit. We're going to come back to that, but I do want you to see that, and here we have some of the results here, and I'm kind of taking down, and I want you to take a mental note if you're doing this, and hopefully you're following along, you know, on your own home networks as well, too. All right, so there's an example of running a couple different types of scans, right? The very first one that we ran here, a single port, let's just go ahead and look for, and for me it was just, hey, let's look to see if we got some Windows machines. Then we did a variety of ports here too, right? So let's go and let me show you, you can go even farther. Maybe I say I want port 80 through port 389, right? I want to find out, do we have all the way up to the LDAP port? Do we have something maybe running a directory service on our network, right? And we run that. But we also tell it, because we did get that past wait window but still running, well, we can actually add a dash wait to it, and we can say, hey, wait 10 seconds, and then we can run this, right? So we can put a little bit of delay. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you won't still see the past the wait window, but you're saying, hey, slow down a little bit, right? And that's just because this scans so fast and at a high volume, you might need to throttle that a little bit. Now, while we're waiting for that to run, let me go ahead and we're going to go to this other side, all right? And now what we're going to do here, notice it is finding some stuff. Notice that we have port 135 is open here too. So let's go ahead and let me show you something else that you can do, right? So we took this big, long command, and we're, right? And let me fix this a little bit. Looks like it got a little, there we go. All right, and we said, hey, Masscan, I want you to scan these ports, this range against this network, and I want you to wait 10 seconds, right? When we want to slow it down, you know, a little bit, right? I could actually, or wait 10 seconds, right? Give it a little bit more time to process. But then what we can do, we can go a little bit farther. I can do dash dash echo. Maybe I don't want to type all of this out every single time. Well, I can do dash dash echo. All right, and we can do our greater symbol sign, and we get to find a Masscan config file. So I can do something like this because it's against a network instead of a single host. Maybe I do network.conf, right? And I run this. Now it is going to ask me to elevate here, so let's elevate our privileges here. All right, now, wow, really didn't do much here. But if I look at ls here, now this is one of those files that you've seen earlier in this directory when we started out, because I have used it before, and I'd like to make sure that we're all good and up and running, right? But here is our configuration file. Now, what we can do, if we wanted to, is instead of typing all of that information out, and again, you can see this is still kind of finding information as it's running. It's telling me about 10 minutes remaining, 16% done, right? So we still got a little bit to wait, so we can run some other scans. Now, again, in fairness, these scans might balk at me a little bit because we're running multiple scans at one time. But now, if we go back over to where we saved that conf file, we can do a sudo. We can tell it, hey, that we are running, well, something like Masscan. All right, and then I can do a -C for the conf file. I can point it to this directory, and we can point it to that configuration file. Now, notice that in the configuration file, I said, hey, wait 10 seconds. Well, I can still add things after the fact, too, right? So, for instance, I can call on that configuration, and then I can do, let me make sure, yep, I could do -- output, file name, space, Masscan -- let's call it results 01.txt. All right, and we can run this. All right. So now what it's doing here is notice that we're slowing it down. We're still seeing information going to standard out, but what we did is we called on the configuration file that we just created and we said, hey, output the results to this file, right? So you can see that it is running and it tells us about how much is remaining. We haven't really found anything, and that's okay. I'm not really worried about that because we are finding, we're running a couple of them over here. So whether you actually find it, might take a little bit of time here. All right, so what we did here is we said, Masscan use this configuration output to this file. Right, so that gives you an example. I'm not going to wait for these results here because I want to show you some additional things while we're waiting on our other scan to finish, right? So that's how you can use and create a configuration file. Now, I want you to keep in mind that I'm doing this across an entire network. You can also do it against a single host. See, we found that one host, right, the 192.168.0.150. So now that I've got that host and I found that host, kind of like you might do with something like Nmap. And oh, by the way, you can use your Nmap options here too as well. Most of the Nmap options can be incorporated here likewise. So I can run something like this where I do a sudo Masscan and then a dash, and what we're going to do is now I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I want to scan all the well-known ports on just this single host, and that's going to be the 192.168.0.150. All right. Now, we could go a little bit farther here, too. We could do dash dash here, and we can do output dash format space JSON space dash dash output dash file name dash Masscan, and maybe I call this, because it's host, results dot JSON. Right? And then from here, what we do is we run this. All right. Now what it's going to do is it's going to output the results into a JSON format. And as you all probably know out there, a lot of your SIEM or SIEMs, right, systems will allow you to incorporate the JSON format so that you can analyze those results. All right. So we're going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to save you the time. We got about 44%, 45%. You can see we're almost halfway done on this one, but what I don't want to do is make you wait for all of this to finish. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to use the magic of TV, and I'm going to go ahead and we'll come back once this hits 100%. All right, here we go, everybody. It has finished here. And you can see it did find some open ports here, discovered some results. We did another one here where we outputted the format to JSON. We can actually see that too. So we can do a cat here, Masscan, and notice we have our host-results.json. And when we run this, notice that it is in the JSON format. So we can take those results from Masscan and we can import them into our SIEM or SIEM, however you would like to say that, the security, incident, and event management systems. Let's go ahead, let's cat the results here to our Masscan that we ran. I can't remember, I don't think we outputted, oh, we did not output this one to a file, so it just outputted it to standard out here. But if we would have outputted this and added the dash dash output dash file name, file name, and then we could have just done something like results.txt to the end of that command, and it basically would dump standard out here into that file. So we're seeing the results here, but we're just seeing it inside of the terminal. So there you have it, everybody. A demonstration on Masscan. Like I said, for those of you that are running Kali, you can just, you don't have to go through the process of building it. But there you have it, everybody. Keep in mind, if you enjoy what you see on the channel, I always ask you to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.